Tonight after dinner, you are going to do something that would make an old Amish farmer wince. You are going to take the peelings, the crusts, the spoiled fruit, the scraps off your plate, and you are going to throw them in the trash. And then, at the end of the month, you are going to pay somebody to come and haul that trash away. Think about that for a second. You're paying money to throw away food. Now picture a different house, a house run on a rule the Amish have lived by for 300 years. In that house, that same bucket of garbage never reaches a trash can. It becomes the start of something. By the time it is done, it is turned into pounds of the single most expensive thing in all of animal feed, pure, high-grade protein, and it did it for free, on its own, while the family slept. There is a system behind that, and it costs about $5 to build out of things you can find secondhand this weekend. It runs entirely on the garbage you are already making. It needs almost no work from you. And here is the strangest part, it harvests itself. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to build it. You will know the one part almost everybody gets wrong, and you will know the honest truth about the smell, the pests, and the seasons, so you do this the right way and your neighbors never complain. Let me show you the problem this solves first, because it is the whole reason backyard eggs cost what they cost. A chicken needs three things to lay good eggs. It needs greens, it needs grains, and it needs protein. The greens are nearly free if your birds can roam. The grains are cheap, a few dollars at any feed store. But the protein is the expensive part, and it is the part that runs out fastest. Chickens get protein from bugs, and a backyard runs out of bugs in a hurry. So you end up buying it, in a bag with a logo, at a price that climbs a little more every year. That bag is the whole reason your eggs are not free. Now here is the thing that nature has been doing for free this entire time. There is an insect called the black soldier fly. Its larvae, the grubs, are about 40% protein and 30% fat. That is a near perfect ratio for a laying hen. The black soldier fly is native to North America, and it has now spread to every continent on Earth except Antarctica, which means it almost certainly already lives near you. It looks like a slim black wasp, but it cannot sting you and it cannot bite you. As an adult, it does not even have a working mouth. It lives only a few days, and it spends those days doing one thing: finding rotting food, laying its eggs near it, and dying. It is not a housefly. It does not land on your food, and it does not spread the diseases a housefly spreads. In fact, where black soldier flies move in, the nuisance flies tend to move out. And this is where the old Amish rule comes back, because the Amish did not invent any of this. Nobody did. Nature did. But the principle behind it, that your waste is the beginning of the next harvest, not the end of the last one, that is as Amish as it gets. On an old farmstead, nothing left the land. The scraps fed the hogs fed the family, the manure fed the field fed the scraps. It was a closed circle, and the garbage can had no place in it. What we are about to build is simply the sharpest, fastest version of that circle ever found, one that turns rotting kitchen waste straight into livestock protein in a couple of weeks. And to be fair, there is no villain here, no secret plot. There did not need to be. The feed store sells you protein in a bag for the same plain reason the power company sells you light, because a bag can be weighed, priced, and billed, and a grub that grows itself out of last night's dinner cannot. Money flows toward the thing that can be sold year after year until a whole country forgets that the most expensive ingredient in its eggs has been flying around the backyard for free the entire time. The Amish never forgot, they just never let the circle break. So here is exactly what is in the system, because the parts are not exotic and you can find every one of them used. There are 4. The first is the grow bin, a plastic tub, a bucket, anything that holds food and grubs. A rectangular tote works best because the corners are easy to work with, and a good one costs about $5 secondhand. This is where the grubs live and eat. The second part is the harvest container, a smaller bucket that sits right beside the grow bin, lower than the food. This is where the mature grubs end up, all on their own. You never reach in and grab them. They deliver themselves. The third part is the one that makes the whole thing magic, the ramp. Inside the grow bin, you build a gentle slope out of sand, soil, and leaves, rising up toward a small slit cut in the side of the bin, right above the harvest bucket. And here's the part almost everybody gets wrong, so listen closely. When a black soldier fly grub is fully grown and ready to change into an adult, its instinct is to crawl up and away from the wet food to find dry ground. That instinct is the entire engine of this system. The ramp gives that crawling grub a road. The slit gives it a door. And on the other side of the door is the harvest bucket, waiting. Get the slope and the gap right, and the grubs march themselves out of the food and drop into your bucket, sorted, clean, and ready. Get it wrong, leave a crack where they fall and get lost, or a wall too steep to climb, and you are back to picking grubs out of rot by hand. Set a brick under the harvest bucket so it sits snug against the slit with no gap, and add a small lip so nothing crawls back, and the system runs itself. The fourth part is the lid, and it does two quiet but critical jobs. You want a lid that leaves about a 1-inch gap or holes about the size of a quarter. That gap is wide enough for the adult flies to come and go and lay their eggs, but narrow enough that a hard rain cannot fill the bin and drown your grubs. Grubs need moisture, but they are not fish. A drowned batch turns to stinking sludge. The lid is what keeps the whole thing alive and clean. Plus the input, which is the free part, your food waste. Vegetable peels, fruit gone soft, bread, grains, plate scrapings, and one more thing on top of the food, a handful of dry leaves or shredded cardboard. The adult flies want something dry just above the food to lay their eggs on, and that scrap of cardboard is the invitation. So here is the weekend build, start to finish. Get your tub in a smaller catch bucket. Cut a slit in the side of the tub, about 1/2 inch above where the catch bucket will sit. Set the catch bucket on a brick so it presses right up under that slit with no gap. Fill the tub with sand and soil and shape it into a ramp that rises up toward the slit. Dump in a few days' worth of kitchen scraps. Toss a handful of dry leaves or cardboard on top. Put the lid on with a 1-inch gap, and then you wait. In about 2 weeks, you will have a thriving bin of fat, white grubs eating their own weight in garbage every single day. Around 9 days after that, the first mature grubs begin climbing the ramp and dropping into your bucket, and your chickens will lose their minds over them. Now scale it the way the old farmsteads scaled everything, by repeating what works. 1 bin feeds a small flock through the warm months. 2 or 3 bins, staggered, give you a steady harvest of free protein from the same trash you used to pay to throw away. And it renews itself for as long as your kitchen makes scraps, which is forever. But before you build it, here is the honest part, because I am not going to hand you a fantasy. This is rotting food, and rotting food has rules. First, the smell. A balanced bin barely smells, but an overloaded one will. So feed it in moderation and keep dry leaves or cardboard mixed in to soak up the wet. Second, go easy on meat, fish, and dairy. The video that inspired this tossed in a little leftover chicken, and a small amount breaks down fine. But pile in meat and you invite the worst odor and you draw rats and raccoons. Fruit, vegetable, and grain scraps are the safe core of this system. Keep meat to a trace or leave it out entirely. Third, ants. Ants will raid the eggs and the smallest grubs, so set your bin's feet in shallow trays of water or use a barrier and they will leave it alone. Fourth, keep that lid gap right so the bin never floods, because drowned grubs are what turn a clean system into a foul one. And 2 honest limits. This is a warm season system. Black soldier flies slow down and stop when it gets cold. So across most of the country, this runs hard from late spring through early fall and then rests for the winter. That is normal, not a failure. And these grubs are a protein supplement, not the whole diet. Your chickens still need their greens, their grains, and a little grit. The grubs are the expensive piece you stop paying for, not the entire meal. Do it right, and you have closed the same circle the Amish never let break. The scraps feed the grubs feed the hens feed you, and the only thing you ever carried to the curb was the lesson that you did not have to. So here is where we leave it. Tonight, you are going to scrape your plate into the trash and pay to make it disappear. And until now, you did not know that the exact same scraps could become pounds of the most expensive feed there is for about $5 and a couple of weeks of doing nothing. You did not know because nobody sells it to you, and nobody sells it to you because there is no money in teaching a person to feed themselves for free. So tell me one thing in the comments. Did you grow up somewhere where the scraps went to the animals instead of the garbage? A grandmother's chickens, a hog out back, a compost pile that fed the garden? Tell me what state and what year. Those memories are exactly how this knowledge gets carried to the next person. If this is the kind of recovered, self-reliant knowledge you came here for, subscribe and stay, because next week we are looking at the 3-cent method the Amish use to keep a basket of eggs fresh for months. No refrigerator, no electricity, no waste. Until then, stop scraping your gold into the trash. The Amish never did.